Hey YouTube, this is Nashtaters. Welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be covering GENSHIN IMPACT and give you my impressions on it. So without further ado, let's get into it. So GENSHIN IMPACT or GENSHIN IMPACT, however you want to pronounce it, doesn't really matter. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to use GI for short to make things a little bit easier for everyone. Now, GI was first released, I think, in beta, and that was many months ago. And I believe they had Chinese versions, English versions. I'm not exactly sure, but there was a beta version definitely for sure for this game. And it's using the Unity engine. The global release was on September 28th of this year. Alright, let's get into the meat of this game. First and foremost, let's talk about graphics. This game is pretty stunning. It has pretty crisp graphics, has a little bit of anime feel, but at the same time has this more of like a movie-ish feel. Using perhaps what many people call cell shading. As you can see, the characters look very anime-ish, and the graphics overall looks really good. As you can see, the structures, and of course you got the weathers, and there's going to be weather effects such as rain, perhaps even snow. I'm sure there's areas where you can explore that's going to have snowy effects. Let's just go ahead and grade the graphics first. I think it's a solid 9.5 out of 10. Because I think the reason I didn't give it a 10 is some people perhaps don't enjoy the cell shading, the anime look, what have you. So, alright, here we are. We found some enemies. They are level 9s. And as you can see, this game already has a similarity of basically a game that everybody knows called Breath of the Wild. And as you can see, I'm using an archer, and this game uses the elemental system, just like many games in the gacha world. First and foremost, there's going to be actually engagement of environments using your specific elements of each unit. For example, when this archer that I'm using charges up, it can set people on fire. As you can see, his weapon is on fire. So over time, it's going to burn away his weapon because it's made of wood. So for that, I think it's pretty cool. Now there's also super moves. As you can see, if I use my Q button, whoops, I switched. Let's switch back. I'll talk about that shortly here. Actually, I'm going to use my E button, which will summon a little cute creature to draw the attention of my enemy units. And then it explodes. And then I can just kind of like shoot them from a distance. Another cool thing about this game is you could just switch units so fast on a whim. And I have 4 units on this squad, and that's the maximum you can have. And I don't want to switch the unit that I'm dying, because I was playing earlier, and as you can see, that unit is almost dead, so I'm not going to use that unit. Let's kill this one here. Alright, he's dead. Switch to a unit that can do some slashing attacks. And there he is. He's able to use this icicle thing. Now, if I was fighting enemy units underwater or on water, then actually I can freeze them because this character likes to freeze things. Let's see if we do that again. That does take some time to recharge. So as you can see on the bottom right there's a big ball. That meter has to charge up, and then of course the E has a few seconds of cooldown. And essentially this game is basically a hack and slash. I would say it's more of like an action RPG. Now a lot of people try to say this game is an MMO. It really isn't. Pretty much you're playing this game by yourself the bulk of the time. And then there is a system where you can do multiplayer. But my understanding is it's a pretty weak system. You do have a party system in which you can have upwards to 3 other people join you. And then you go around doing quests where you can do dungeons, where you can do whatever. Now, currently, since I'm playing by myself, I can switch between my 4 units. However, if I'm doing multiplayer, I can actually only use 1 unit. And then the loot from multiplayer are going to be split up. Experience, I assume, is going to be split up as well. Since I have no experience in it, I don't want to keep making comments on that. Overall, as you can see, this world is humongous. And I have to say it's pretty much, in my opinion, a Breath of the Wild clone, in the sense that the combat system is very similar. You can do dodges, and I don't think you have that special effect in which if you did a backflip, and you can dodge enemy attack. I haven't experienced that yet. But overall, I think what makes this game a little bit more unique compared to Breath of the Wild is the fact that you can switch between your party members at a whim. And I think that adds a little bit of depth in terms of combat. Like I said before, there is a lot of elements in this game. And of course, you have your standard fire, earth, wind, etc., etc. Currently, I believe we can only play 5 out of the 7. If I'm not mistaken, I think 2 of the elements are not available to us currently. Another thing about combat is after you do your exploration, you can actually get to these teleport points, or as they call them, waypoints. It makes traveling that much easier, so if you're farming, that's a good way to do it. Now, we must talk about leveling your account, in which you can get more resources for the game. Unfortunately, there's only a few ways to do it. You can find treasure chests, you can complete dungeons, you can find waypoints, and those are the ways that can give you experience to gain in terms of leveling up your account. And the only way you can access certain things in this game is to reach specific milestones, of course, on your player account. Now, for those of you that actually just saw that, but see the yellow bar next to me? Since I'm playing on the PC, I can't climb anywhere where it would show. Actually, I'll do a run. There it is. That yellow bar is my stamina. Just like Breath of the Wild, it will drain if you're running, if you're dodging, and also if you're climbing things. So that's something to keep in mind. Another really cool thing about this game is right off the bat, you get this cool thing. Basically a wing that you can glide, and of course, just like Breath of the Wild, if you jump on a long upward wind swept, so to speak, then you can actually glide all the way up to the air, and you can simply glide wherever you need to glide. So far, I've already used that on one of the missions, and I was able to solve that puzzle using that. So I think it's pretty cool, but at the same time, again, many people are going to view this as simple Breath of the Wild clone, right? But let's grade the combat system. I think it's a solid 10 out of 10. It's very rewarding because when you're doing certain dungeons, especially the introduction ones, which I haven't been doing those, they teach me how to use each unit and teach me how to use and take advantage of their elements. And because of the fact that you can actually engage the environment using your element attacks, I think it makes for a pretty sweet combat system. Now, like many RPG reviews I used to read back in the days when we didn't have internet, they always cover 4 major elements. First one we talked about graphics, the second one we talked about combat or gameplay. The third one I'm going to talk about is, of course, going to be story. Now, obviously, I have not dived too deep into the storyline myself, but I feel like so far of the little introduction that I did receive is pretty cookie cutter. So far as we're dealing with some kind of big creature that's attacking the city, we got to do a bunch of stuff to try to prevent that from happening. Overall, not too intriguing, and the way I look at things is there are not many storylines in most games nowadays that can really give it a lot of substance. So for that, I would definitely just give it a simple 7 out of 10, simply because I'm not impressed so far. But then again, don't take my word for it because I have not dived too deep into the storyline. The last aspect is going to be something brand new that we're most likely going to be using in terms of grading games nowadays. Since the bulk of the games that I cover are mobile games, this game is a big exception to that rule because you can play it on PC, you can play it on PlayStation 4, and you can play it on Switch eventually. I don't think it's out yet. And of course, you can play on iOS or Android. Currently, I'm playing on the PC because I can feel like I need to enjoy this graphics on my most powerful engine that I own, which will be my computer. I feel like this game has to talk about in terms of unfortunately, the gacha system. I'm gonna quickly show you here. This is the summoning banners. Obviously, I already made a mistake because I spent 10 milestones on the beginner's wish, which I probably shouldn't have. I probably should have summoned on some of these other ones, which just so happens to share the exact same stones. It is what it is. I don't really care. It is what it was. I think I was duped by the 20% discount on that one. Of course, there's apparently these different rainbow summoning stones which you can use for special summoning. And for this unit called Venti, so he's a range unit using bows, and he's very, very strong. Now, I tried to summon for him. I didn't get him. And I think a lot of people already spent thousands of dollars trying to get these new units. So I think it's important to talk about free-to-play friendly, because this game absolutely is free-to-play friendly. If you think about it in terms of Breath of the Wild, that game was pretty much just finding weapons. and you needed to save weapons because of the durability issue, and use those powerful weapons to defeat the bosses of the game. In this game, it doesn't work that way. There is no durability. Because of the gacha system, your goal is to try to find the most powerful weapon and subsequently increases those weapons to higher levels to do more damage. The game is good at giving you units, right? Through playing the story mode, you're going to get a lot of units and you're going to get some weapons. But are they going to be the best in the game? And the answer will be no. Unfortunately, the only way you can get some of these 5-star units, 5-star equipment, is through the paid wall of the gacha system. Now obviously as a free-to-play player, you can still have access to those summons, you just unfortunately have to grind a lot longer in terms of saving and quote-unquote planning by using those stones. And by the way, the gacha system in this game is one of the worst on the market. I believe it's like a 0.6% chance to get a 5-star. They have this system called the Constellation. Essentially what it is just extra bonus things that you can obtain from these units if you have extra copies. If you have extra copies, then you can actually get either more skills, more powerful skills, or stronger skills. And I think that's where the wall comes in for a lot of free-to-play players. Even if you got your very first copy of your 5-star unit, the chances of you finishing off your constellation is almost impossible. So in that sense, I cannot give it a perfect score in terms of free-to-play. I will have to say this game is roughly 8 out of 10 in terms of free-to-play friendly. And because of that wall, yeah, it kind of sucks. And I always hate gacha systems in these type of games. Imagine playing Breath of the Wild and you can't defeat the final boss because, well, you don't have the proper weapons. You have to buy them, spend money and download a DLC. I think that would tick a lot of people off. Final thoughts. Let's talk about the positives first. It's a gorgeous game. Really rewarding combat system. And I must tell you, if I wanted to go out and hunt squirrels all day long, I could do that. If I want to sit in the river and fish all day, I could do that. In other words, these open world games, you can do whatever you want, right? There's no PvP in this game. There's no quote-unquote real end game. If you beat the game, right, all you left to do for you is wait for new content, events, or simply level up other units that you obtained. Or you can do what I do, go out and hunt squirrels for 10 hours, or fish for 20 hours. That's pretty much open-ended game. You can do whatever you want. Yes, it is technically speaking, a Breath of the Wild clone, but it has its own uniqueness. The 4-party member combat, switching units at the whim, and of course, the cool designs of your units. I think that's also something that people need to think about. It does have that anime feel. And I think the company that made this game did an excellent job of creating a very nice system overall and a nice feel for the game. Now let's talk about the negatives. I think the biggest problem with this game is ultimately it is a Breath of the Wild clone. It is a it is a double-edged sword, right? If I wanted to play Breath of the Wild, I would just play Breath of the Wild. There's no reason to play this game and on top of playing Breath of the Wild, because this game unfortunately doesn't offer anything brand new to the genre of action open world RPG. In fact, there's so many similarities in this game, one could just say there is no real reason to play this game. But that decision has to be left up to the individual player. Another big negative in this game is the fact that there's a gacha system, which in my opinion, generally speaking, tend to prey upon folks who have a lack of self-control, or perhaps people who like to spend on an impulse. Now, I've already watched many videos about this game, and there are in fact many content creators that for the most part have been covering other games as their main source of content, now all of a sudden are switching to this game. And in fact, many of them have spent hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to try to gather the brand new wave of players that's attracted to GI. Personally, I don't like to do that. However, that being said, I have to still cater to the general community. If people want to watch me play this game, all you have to do is do one of two things. Simply leave a comment in this video telling me that you want to see me play this game and maybe cover this game. 2, if you hit 200 likes for this video, then I think for me, I'll go ahead and start covering this game. The story mode I think is where this game really lacks. I'm not dived into this game. I'm not really feeling any attachment to the character designs. In fact, I don't even care about any of them. And I think that's unfortunate because there's only so much you can do in games of this nature. That leads me to the point where, does this game have sustainability? Yes, it is gorgeous, yes, good combat, but what else could they implement to this game where every day you're logging in and you don't feel like you're doing the exact same thing every single day? So all in all, I think it is a good game, but I don't think I can recommend it to every single person out there. I think I can strongly recommend this game to people who already have a strong background with these type of games. For brand new players, I think this is one of those games you're gonna have millions and millions of people download, they're gonna play for a few days, and eventually the bulk of them are probably gonna walk away. Alright, I think that's all the time I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed my review because it took me a long time to sit down and really think about what I wanted to say about this game. I think I said enough. Hopefully that will make some sort of an impact, I guess pun intended here, on some players if they feel like they want to play this game. Remember, time is your most valuable resource. Spend it wisely. And as always, take care of yourself and all your loved ones. Nashtater and his family out. Peace.